This is a Caprino studio production, and I'm your host, Arun Sridhar. On behalf of all of us in the production team, I want to welcome you to another episode of our immersive production. So please wear your headphones or use an appropriate sound device to listen to the podcast. It is only right that you get to hear the episode in the way we intended it to be. Let's start then, shall we?
Hey, how are you? Is everything okay? Is life good? Are things in your life good? Thanks for responding. I did hear your inner voice. Now, let me ask you a question. But before that, I'm going to drop a few words. Let me see what comes to your mind. Schindler's List, Apollo 13, The Pursuit of Happiness, Catch Me If You Can, The Wolf of Wall Street, the Tamil thriller Visaranai. It won a national award. Bhag Milka Bhag. And now, the question, what do these movies have in common? Yes, these are movies based on real-life events. Every time I come across the phrase, based on true events, in a movie trailer, I feel a tingle run down my spine. There's something deeply satisfying about watching a film that is rooted in true events. I am so curious to see how the story that I could so easily Google is treated by the director, how the script unfolds, how the actors bring the story to life. But let's go beyond the obvious. The movie I want to talk to you about today is one with several awards in its kitty. National awards, a Golden Bear at the Berlin International Film Festival, and a Golden Globe in a special category. It is a classic Hindi movie from 1957, and back then, it blew people's minds. Also, a particular song from the film achieved immortality, being embraced as a prayer in countless schools across India. Grab your popcorn and settle into your sofa or gaddi as I quickly outline its plot for you. Ready? Here we go. So, the movie is about an inspirational jailer who goes on to rehabilitate 6 hardened convicts at a rundown farm through toil and guidance. But why was the story special? Because when the prevailing perspective on punishing criminals involved harsh labor, this movie unleashed a new way of thinking that showed people that gentle guidance and shared experience resulted in human transformation. Why was this mind-blowing? Because, come to think of it, all of us are constantly faced with two forks in the road, that of love and fear. Every decision we make is guided by either of these two choices. If we choose love, we choose hope. And if we choose fear, we go down a path of self-stigmatization and judgment. Does it feel weird? It did for me too. But for a second, think about it as I tell you more.
From Caprino Studio, this is A Road Less Traveled, a podcast that seeks to dig deep into our collective archives to take you on a journey to show you how stories about India, Indians, and foreigners that are relatively unknown and underappreciated have changed and impacted our lives, society, and culture. Come along with us as we seek to hold your hands and travel through this amazing journey, paired with our own brand of unique storytelling, thoughtful music, and sound design to inspire, engage, and entertain you. If we have crossed paths before, a warm welcome back to you. For those who are new, there is only one way to get to know us and the stories. Get stuck right in and join us as we sail through this adventure together. Let's get started, shall we?
And this is Sandhya Nagarajan. So, can you guess the movie's name? Well, it's Do Aankhein Bara Haath by legendary director V Shantaram. But did you know, despite the movie, the man behind the story is someone very few know of. And yet, his story is like no other. Not only was he a Polish Gandhian who cheated death, crossed continents, renunciated, and edited one of 20th century's loftiest spiritual classics, I Am That. But he was also a humanitarian par excellence. While his story begins at the very doors of death, believe me when I tell you, his tale is one that travels from darkness to light. But in order to begin, we must first go back to Europe, specifically Hitler's Europe. We all know from our history books that if terror had a name, it would undoubtedly be that of Adolf Hitler. Between the years 1933, when Hitler ascended to power, and 1945, roughly 2/3 of Europe's Jews had been slaughtered. The Holocaust turned Jewish citizens into refugees overnight. During the initial period of Nazi control, Jewish quarters throughout Eastern Europe under German occupation transformed into zones of segregation and containment for Jewish communities. Among those who spent their early years in these Jewish ghettos was Maurice Friedman, hailing from a humble family in Warsaw. He stood out as a remarkably brilliant student, a brilliant electrical engineer, and displayed a profound affinity for matters pertaining to spirituality. In the 1930s, when Europe witnessed escalating political tensions, Friedman embarked on a voyage to India driven by his aspirations. Upon his arrival in India, Friedman found his feet in no time. Not only was he exceptionally brilliant, but he was also a polyglot. He could speak Russian, Polish, French, English, and Hebrew, and read and write a slew of other languages. He was also a polymath, an inventor, and of course, like we said earlier, an engineer. What was to stop him? Nothing. As far as he knew, this was a fresh start. Friedman quickly assumed his role of managing director at the Mysore State Government Electrical Factory in Bangalore, and life began in earnest. For the most part, his worldly responsibilities took up most of his time, but in his free hours, Friedman remained a passionate seeker of the truth. Over time, to satisfy his thirst for knowledge, he left his job and traveled. Eventually, he crossed paths with spiritual leaders such as Ramana Maharishi, Swami Ramdas, and Nisargadatta Maharaj. After officially becoming an Indian citizen, he decided to become a sannyasi. Swami Ramdas initiated him as a Hindu monk and gave him a new name, Swami Bharathananda. A new home, a new identity, a new name. Friedman was born anew. India, in all its pre-independence glory and chaos, captivated him. Gandhiji especially had a profound impact on him, and Friedman took up residence in his ashram. Using his engineering skills, Friedman perfected Gandhi's spinning wheel, which went on to become synonymous with Gandhi and India's freedom struggle. Did you see that coming? I certainly didn't until I heard this story. So, the next time you visit Porbandar and come back with a piece of wooden artifact for your cabinet at home, you know who to thank. Friedman had a considerable following during his life as a sannyasi and a Gandhian. Notable among them was Bhavanrao Srinivasarao Pant Pratinidhi, the progressive ruler of the princely state of Aundh. In 1938, Friedman happened to visit Aund, and during his time there, he realized the state could benefit from a revolutionary overhaul. But would its ruler acquiesce? What followed next was a historic event. Friedman convinced Bhavan Rao, the ruler of Aundh, to support Gandhi's cause and grant self-governance to his citizens. Along with Gandhi, he drafted a new constitution for the state, which was adopted on January 21, 1939. The Aundh experiment enabled the princely state to become a village republic, and its chief architect was none other than Friedman. But there is more. During the course of the Aundh experiment, a crucial question began doing the rounds. What should be done with the state's prisoners? If they had committed crimes against the state or its people, they certainly had to remain incarcerated, wasn't it? This is where Friedman's brilliance came to the fore. Friedman came up with a solution that was not only revolutionary but also tinged with his brand of humanism. And why not? For no other man knew collective loss and the regenerative power of hope better than Friedman. So he did the unthinkable once again. He took it upon himself to transfer the prisoners to an open prison and personally oversee their well-being. A prison without towering walls or fences, almost an ashram if you will. Thus, India's first free prison, Swatantrapur, was set up, the city of the free. The beauty of Swatantrapur was that Aundh's inmates could live with their families during parole. After all, contact was the basis of human transformation. Friedman firmly believed good could come out of bad, that one kind act could lead to redemption. Of utmost importance was restoring dignity to the broken spirit. He thus went on to equip the men with life skills. The prisoners were taught to build houses, practice farming, work on village projects, and dig deep wells when drought-prone Aundh faced yet another scant monsoon. He taught them not only to survive, but to thrive. As the sun set on Swatantrapur, a few lost souls knew all was not lost. Which brings to mind another, if not one of the most empowering voices to emerge out of the horrors of World War II, that of Oskar Schindler. When I first heard the story, I marveled at how, in so many ways, Friedman and Schindler's stories mirrored each other. Both men went beyond their call of duty to preserve lives. Both men enriched the lives of those less fortunate with a sense of purpose, gratitude, and hope, when fear, desperation, and anger could have easily consumed them. Both Friedman and Schindler knew that if you could not save 100, save one, for that one life could have a ripple effect on many more. And love was always the tool. Love over fear, every time. If Schindler saved hundreds of Jews, imagine how many lives were touched by Friedman, which ultimately has echoes in the way Kiran Bedi reformed through her rehabilitation program one of South Asia's largest and most notorious jails, Tihar. But coming back to our story, something else was cooking at Aundh. Now, only a handful of people were privy to the Aundh experiment. But thanks to the writings of Maharashtra's famous poet, G.D. Madgulkar, or Gadi Ma, as he was popularly known, the story of Swatantrapur somehow managed to come to the attention of noted film director V Shantaram. Upon learning about it, he immediately knew he had to bring Friedman's incredible story to life. What followed was the cinematic gem, Do Aankhein Bara Haath. In the movie, V Shantaram plays a prison warden who personally reforms 6 dangerous parolees by involving them in hard work on a rundown farm. Through his compassionate mentorship and their earnest efforts, the notorious murderers undergo a transformation, achieving a bountiful harvest. The film delivers a profound moral lesson rooted in Gandhian philosophy. This storyline, Vasant Desai's beautiful composition, and Lata Mangeshkar's soulful rendition "E Malik Tere Bande Hum" captured the public imagination as powerfully as any movie could. The film was a super-duper hit, an anthem was born, and the world took notice. Award after award poured in. But where was Friedman? After all, here was his story loved by millions. So you see, despite V Shantaram's best efforts, Friedman refused to take any credit for the film and tiptoed away. And so it happened. The man behind the story remained faceless, lost to the sands of time. Had Friedman's name been included in the film credits, as V Shantaram had insisted, the world would have come face to face with an extraordinary man. But then, Friedman was never one to pursue fame, for he knew from the wells of his consciousness, and I quote here from a poem penned by him, "The flow of creation will go on, with me or without me. Only do not make me forget that I am none, and that you only exist and create in ever-changing mobility."
You've just listened to a Caprino studio production. Our stories were written and edited with the valuable help of Bhattacharya. The impeccable compositions that you listened to were performed by Dr.ShivaShankar, and the sound design was done by myself and our wonderful sound engineer, Mr. Swaminathan ThiruGnanaSambandam. Look up our show notes and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and ensure you get all the updates on our WhatsApp channel. We will see you soon with more stories. Until then, stay well.